All right, welcome back to Finding Truth podcast here on Unscripted Truth TV. Logan here with Austin. Once again, big episode 70. I know I said big every time, but it seems like every episode is big at this point. You know, we're nearing 100, which is crazy to think about. I would even, if the math is right, I'd say we're about 70% of the way there. But anyway, so couple things we want to touch on tonight. We are going to be having a special guest, a third guest, third unique guest to the podcast, which is exciting. And I think a lot of you guys will know him, but we'll have a little bit of a reveal here in a little bit, but keep you guys on your toes. But we had a great guest last week. If you guys haven't checked that out, very pleasantly surprised. Not in any kind of weird way, but had a very good conversation. Mr. Illegal Smile, you might have seen him in the comments, guys, but yeah, we had a very good conversation, and he had a lot of information to present, which was, very fun to go over and go through. And he's going to be a huge asset. Already has been a huge asset in the decoding NASCAR, even before we started with our podcast, but in addition to what we do and vice versa, you can tell that just off the last episode we had that's going to be like a fruitful endeavor for everybody. So yeah, check that out if you guys haven't. But yeah, like I said, third guest today. After a little bit of a preamble, do want to touch on a couple of new details that we weren't able to get to last week about the whole. Well, I think it happened last week. So anyway, but Greg Biffle's house robbery, which is just another, just like, why are they keeping this thing alive? We know why, but let's, that's the question I'll pose to the audience. And then we'll check in with the NFL scores. We do have a game just about wrapping up. So we do want to check in on that. Wow. It looks like they're taking it down to the last second too, 4th and 4 at the 14 for the Bears, trying to tie it up.
Wow.
20 seconds left. So they love doing that with these games. Other than the Seahawks game, they like keeping these things close. But then Austin does have some extra details in kind of like an added overview of what just some connections that he's been putting together, doing like outside research from past drivers and things of that nature. And he's touched on them a little bit before. So if you've been following us, you're pretty much caught up if you caught up with his NASCAR things, but he does have more on that. The whole Chad Little rabbit hole that we've been going down. But yeah, without further ado, that was a pretty long intro, but I'll send it down to you, brother. How's it going?
Yeah, it's amazing. Here we are, episode 70. We got another new guest. It's very exciting. Yeah, pretty good stuff. Yeah, I mean, like I said last night, I was telling you I was doing that crazy move, and I was doing that last night and yesterday and last night, getting that done. And it's been a pretty nice. I mean, it's been sunny. It's been nice and warm during the day. I mean, yesterday I was just in like a cutoff and shorts. So it's crazy. Don't always get that too often, but especially in the winter. But yeah, like today, still pretty nice. It's been cold at night. But yeah, it's just I forgot even what date it was today. I'm like, man, what date is it already? It's like we're in the second half of January. It's just like, bam, we're almost 3 weeks in already. So it's just the time is just whipping. And today, just the day just like went by so fast. I couldn't keep up. But yeah, it's we got some good stuff tonight. Like you just mentioned, going over the games real quick. I got some real interesting, like I said, NASCAR connections that we've been talking about. No gematria with it, just stuff that, it doesn't need gematria, but it's still, it's undeniable. And it's just stuff that just kind of proves and shows itself. It's just very interesting details, that anybody who, doesn't know gematria, doesn't, if you don't even need it or not thinking about it, just details and alignments that you can easily see, but things that have very deep, significant meaning and stuff, especially at certain times, certain events and stuff, and drivers and birthdays, stuff like that. Yeah, it should be a good show tonight, especially with Sebastian coming on too. I know he's been been in the community for a while. Another young gun, so I'm looking forward to having him on. And tonight should be pretty good. Here's this championship game or this divisional round games finishing up here.
Yeah, looking like overtime. I popped it open real quick just because the 4th and 14, and they're able to get it in the end zone. What do you know? What a score for the Masonic League.
And the Texans scored 16 too. The Texans got 16, so another 16.
Yeah, and let's go. Well, we might as well breach this. We can talk NFL, and then we can talk about Greg Biffle just really quickly. Just kind of talk about the details. Maybe we noticed something. I don't know if we're going to go in too deep on it right on this episode, but then get to your stuff. That way it's kind of like stays in the NASCAR realm. But yeah, just for in case you were, was it last week we were talking football? I think last week we were talking football for a little bit.
Yeah.
At the beginning, and predictions and things of that nature. And there's them Patriots.
Yeah.
We did mention that, if the Bills were to win, that would be the only scenario if the Seahawks do make it to the Super Bowl, which me and Austin personally, that's just like narrative wise, I think, and whatever we're basing it off of, not really gematria based. For those kinds of things, definitely check out Zach's Patreon, Gematria Effect News. But aside from that, there's a lot of similarities to I already blanking on the year. The Patriots Super Bowl, was it 2000?
Their last one was 2018.
2018. I was going to say 2017, and that didn't sound right. So okay, yeah, 2018. That sounds much more right. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of course, either way, you're going to have as far as the AFC is concerned, either way, it's going to be if the Seahawks make it, it'll be a repeat Super Bowl at this point. So that's what we were noticing. There's narratives for the Broncos for sure. Did you catch the news about Bo Nix? Oh wait, no, we talked about it.
Yeah,
we talked about it briefly over the phone. Well, one of the backups I don't think the backup's been named yet. There's two backup quarterbacks. But one of the backup quarterbacks does have a name that equals 206 like the Seattle area code, which is interesting. But
and if Seattle, if they win the next game too, it'll be their 19th postseason win too in the play. So that'd be Seattle 19. So all the 19s would be there, of course. So
very interesting. But yeah, what a score for the Rams and Bears. 17-17 at the end of regulation. If you know, which is, it's very fitting because our guest will be talking masonry, and 17 by itself is a huge number with masonry, but 1717 is maybe even bigger, being the founding date.
Yeah.
For the first lodge, at least. Should be clear. Yeah, interesting stuff. So we'll kind of try to keep on this game as it goes, but so you have the Broncos potential repeat with the Seahawks, and this is all, of course, if the Seahawks win. Personally, what I said to Austin is, if the Seahawks do go, I would assume that the Bears win this game, because that'll be very similar to their path to the Super Bowl in 2010. Which, by the way, just a weird thing. You know how like media, but the psyops are huge, guys. Psyops are not just like one program. Our rulers don't think that we're watching one program only. They're not trying to catch us on one spot. It's overarching. There's the propaganda is everywhere. It's far reaching. Interestingly enough, though, at the Oklahoma City Thunder game yesterday, one of the injured players, so a player got injured, Jalen Williams. He gets injured, and he's in the middle. He's at the far end of the court, and never mind all that. But there's another injured player on Oklahoma City, Isaiah Hartenstein, and he's just wearing a Marshawn Lynch jersey. It's like you can wear anything to the game. You can wear anything to the game. Now, granted, you got to remember, guys, the OKC connection. If you follow Zach's work, or if you don't even need to follow work, if you know that the Seattle Supersonics, became the Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, so you could make that connection. But I just thought it was very interesting that he was wearing a Marshawn Lynch jersey, and he's injured. There's no real reason for him. He walked all the way to the middle of the court. It's not like the whole team was surrounding Jalen Williams. It was really just like training staff and stuff. But he just walks out there to get into the camera view in his Marshawn Lynch jersey. It's just very strange. So I was just like, I was just laughing a little bit because, Marshawn Lynch didn't get the ball when we lost to the Seahawks lost to the Patriots on the obvious rigged interception at the goal line by Butler. Anyway, so there, I just seen some interesting narratives there. Of course, the Broncos, we've talked about the horse motif, that they play on. Of course, we're going into the year of the horse and all that good shit. Well, they did a huge Neptune ritual surrounding even that, the Biffle thing was kind of like a part of it as well, at least regarding the flooding in Seattle, in Washington. But on top of that, of course, they brought in Mr. Fill Up the Rivers for his, out of retirement to come outshine Mr. Darnold in Seattle. Still lose, but outshined him.
Yep.
His arm lost to a foot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's, Fill Up means lover of horses. There's a huge horse motif going on with Seattle. If you don't know about Seattle, Magnus and Klemenkic, what if I'm saying that wrong? But, they're based out of Seattle, and Boeing's based out of Seattle. And, but Magnus and Klemenkic was the people who were contracted with the Twin Towers. And if you guys know the aesthetics of the Twin Towers, it was very Neptune, or, the whole base of the buildings are tridents. And that, of course, is the motif of Seattle, whether it's the Kraken or the Mariners, of course, who play right across from Lumen Field. Very Neptune related. Neptune is, of course, the god of oceans, storms, and horses. So all these things kind of ravel together, and we know how they love to pay homage to their whatever you. I guess they're not. I guess Greek gods aren't really Sumerian, but they all have their roots in like the Sumerian gods, of course, like Enki, Enlil. We talked about that. Zach talks about it very well, and he's talked about it all. Anyway, just esoterically, there's a definitely something going on there with the horse motif. And I guess what's the other possibility if the Rams get through? That's something I probably need to look into a little bit more. But
because the Rams was that built the Biffle game. The 16-point comeback was against the Rams.
That's true. Oh, that is true. Biffle was connected with the Rams, and then yeah. And then, of course, I didn't even mention that Seahawks game was against the Colts, but
and the Patriots, they're undefeated on the road this year too. They haven't lost a game.
I heard Mr. Troy Aikman say that today. They put it on the TVs at work, so just sitting there like, ugh. It's hilarious. I worked with two girls today, and I don't pay attention to sports. And meanwhile, they're talking sports. I'm like, oh man, kind of feel effeminate, but at the same time, I'm just like, kind of want to just pull them aside and be like, guys, isn't there like something girly you guys could be talking about? What are you talking about sports for? Are you good? It's like, man,
you be talking about Todd Gurley.
Isn't there a Kardashian show on or something? But anyway. Todd Gurley, good one. But yeah, if the Bears win, they will share the same record as the Rams if they, of course, lose 13-6. That might be interesting. Something interesting there. 136.
And the Super Bowl is in California. I was making that reference last week with the 49ers, how they could have, if they won, they'd had home field advantage. That's why I said they'd probably lose. But same thing with the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams.
They would also have, not their stadium or their city, but their state, California, would still be in it. So.
Overwhelming majority of fans would be for the Rams, of course. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I 100% get you. I think if it's in, if Seattle makes it, I think they'll travel well. I don't think they're going to have any problem getting Seattle fans into LA. There was a lot of Seattle fans when I went for that one game in the middle of the season that wasn't even didn't even look like it was sold out, but I was surrounded by Seahawks fans. I was like, damn. There we go. I didn't even segue into the whole Patriots point with Day that we talked about. Of course, him being the winner of the Sean Alexander Award, and that's kind of a throwback to the Seahawks Super Bowl appearance against the Steelers, and a lot of interesting things to talk about. And I mean, I would assume that Sam Darnold's in the MVP conversation as well as Day. I just heard that Day is in the MVP conversation. I mean, they said, how they love their arbitrary records. Well, I guess the Patriots set a record for best turnaround for a franchise. They won 4 games. The last 2 seasons, they've only won 8 games total, 4 games each season. And now they've won 16. So they quadrupled up. Pretty crazy.
The Texans score 16. There's another double 16s for you.
Absolutely. A lot of 16. I mean, and you guys got to understand too, it's 16's not necessarily it's it's an achievable NFL score, but man, they sure scored a lot. You'd imagine you'd see a lot more 21s and 24s, and you see them too, but it's just random how many 16s there are, because that's either 3 field goals and a touchdown, or 2-point conversions. And then again, those are very much more common nowadays than they used to be. 2-point conversions used to be so rare that they'd even go for them. Now they're going for them when they don't even need to. They just go for them. It's crazy. So something we'll keep our eyes on. If you guys have any predictions or your thoughts on the Super Bowl, I know it's, we're definitely not encouraging it here, but we understand the trend, and we'd much rather talk about, how they're rigging it and what you guys see about the rig. But if that devolves into predictions and what you think about the teams, as long as you're not coming to us asking about how good we think these players are, because who knows how good these players are. They feign greatness and they feign terribleness. But anyway, moving on, I do want to quickly touch on this, because this is kind of a new thing. We mentioned Biffle many times, and if you guys haven't seen our work on Biffle, it was a few weeks ago now. The thumbnail should have gave it away. I don't remember exactly what episode. Was it 68? No. What was it, 66? Was it already that long ago now?
It was. It was a month ago today. He died. Yeah, it was December 18th. Yeah, it was a month ago. Yeah.
So check out 66. We talk about that, and there's a lot of surrounding details, like I alluded to a few of them. But if you haven't gotten the whole, King Richard's done great work on this. Zach's done really good work on this. But anyway, recently his house has been one of his. What was it? His Florida house? Where was it?
I think it was in North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. Yeah. No, absolutely. You're right. Yes, North Carolina. What I was getting confused is they had a memorial in Florida or something like that. Anyway, so his house got robbed of over $30,000 in cash, which is like, damn. You guys haven't had anyone go through his belongings since he's died. He has no next to kin like that. He has no adjusters or anything like that. Then again, could be the adjusters that tipped off the the burglars. But yeah, 30,000 in cash and other things stolen from his house. Apparently, there's some sort of audio with 911 call or whatever. It's like, okay, whatever. More than anything, of course, the 30 is interesting, but
They said 2 guns, probably stolen too, and some
yeah, that's right. That's right. Here, I'm trying
memorabilia.
There we go. The guns and memory. Let's click on the link, I guess. We're clicking links today, boys.
Linking it up.
It's just a link to another site. Why would you link to another site if you're the news, bro? What? I was hoping that it would say exactly what. But yeah, like Austin said, there's 2 guns and memorabilia. I did read that there's 2 guns. Not sure what caliber the guns were. That's what I was kind of hoping to find out. But yeah, $30,000 just lying around. I guess that's just how it works when you're in the money. You're just holding tens of thousands in cash at your home. Like, bro, that's not safe if you're alive. I guess you got the 2 guns there too, so you got a good chance. But anyway, what I kind of wanted to touch on with this is just because I don't think we're going to go too deep into it, like I said, but just wanted you guys to ask yourself, why are they like keeping this alive? Because if you're of our ilk, you believe that these stories are contrived, and maybe these things happen sometimes, and maybe these things, there is some natural things going on. But when it comes to something like this, we've seen them use this as a setup for NFL games, which kind of alludes to Super Bowls, and there's always major deaths before every Super Bowl, and usually a little bit afterwards as well. But all the way from the beginning of the season, they'll open it up with a big one, usually, and then they'll be sprinkled all throughout the season, ritualistically. And Biffle's a big name. Biffle's a heavy hitter, and it's also interconnecting. It interconnects sports. Of course, you have Joe Gibbs is one of the most famous owners in NASCAR. Of course, he was one of the most famous coaches in the NFL. You got Michael Jordan, owner of a team who is obviously the most famous basketball player ever. So these interconnected sports, they love that. They love doing that. But in this case, you have a ritual in NASCAR. Technically, I guess you could even say in aviation too. But that kind of rolling over into, in a manner of speaking, into the NFL, and obviously being a ritual for not just that NFL weekend or a slate of 2 games in Seattle, but for a ritual sacrifice for the Super Bowl itself. The Super Bowl is a ritualistic event. Anybody go watch every single halftime show and tell me, you play it to some person who doesn't know what the Super Bowl is, and they'll be like, what the hell am I watching? If you were to just line up every halftime concert and be like, just watch the concerts, don't tell them it's for a Super Bowl or anything like that, they'd be like, what the hell is this crazy? What is this, like Bohemian Grove or something? But nope, that's every year. And you got as long as there's some funny Doritos commercials sprinkled in around them, people won't even bat an eye. Maybe they'll make a quick TikTok video, or they'll watch a quick TikTok video about how it was, there's demonic, it's something, but then they're, right back at the start of next season, ready to cheer on their favorite men in tights. But yeah, what did you think about this whole Biffle rehash?
Yeah, I'd say it's like you said. It's trying to think of the word. It's another whatever you text me. I can't. My brain's going numb at the moment. But inside job. There's the word.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's and it's the way they kind of, it's, the Biffle death, and this was just like, this is just kind of a light story coming out. There's not a ton on it. It's just this little, we've had a lot of little big things, but this has been something that's been going on. This is just, an inside job, like we said, to just kind of bring this along and drag it out and to keep this alive, and just keep tying more things to it. And yeah, it's just, you know, 30 grand stolen, couple guns, memorabilia, stuff like that. Just, it's just that story for that reason. And it's just, it's interesting. I think I forget what day it happened, but, it's this week. So I, brought it up, and then obviously I shared it to you when I think it might've been Monday or something, or Tuesday.
Trying to see, of course, guys. Yahoo, you had your chance. It says 2 days ago, according to TMZ. So the 16th. Oh, whoa! Was it on the 16th?
Oh my, it was. It seemed like it was longer than that.
I thought so too, but this story at least is from the 16th. So let's see. The story broke on TMZ on the 16th. Okay, but it was the 8th. Okay. Why did TMZ break it 8 days later? I wonder. Let's see if because I pulled that up and I wasn't getting anything further than 2 days ago. 2 days ago, okay, 3 days ago. Okay. Someone broke the story earlier.
Yeah, because I remember talking about this like a few days ago to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I first heard about it, because it was like right when I first heard about it. It was like the day it happened is when when it was first coming out is when I heard about it.
I don't think the news got broken until many days later, though. At least 6 days later, they held, and of course TMZ being the kind of the authority on these things, of course they post theirs on the 16th. Hilarious. Let's see if TMZ's got the details. Of course they put his brace face picture up too. How rude. Let the man let the man and his family rest. Yeah, some interesting details about it too. How it seemed like the robbers knew exactly where to go because they broke the upstairs door, like the specific doors, and they were like, "Move." Yeah, here we go. The Christmas tree had been moved. It's like, interesting, neighbor. You knew where the Christmas tree was before. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
She said, which felt strange since she remembered placing it in a different spot. It's like, bro, what do you mean? You placed it? I guess I don't know. Oh, okay. Wait. I don't know. Hard to understand who this person is that called the police in the first place, but hard to understand too also how they knew what was stolen. Like who confirmed to them what was there that wasn't there anymore? Because it wasn't the woman. It wasn't the woman who called 911. That's what I noticed when I first read over this story. But the cops found out. The sheriff's office later found out that 30,000 in cash and a book bag were stolen, and the guns. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, they just believe the police, believe the report. Just it doesn't make any sense, and there's no clarity to how it happened, or who did anything, or who found it, or why they know what was missing. But just it's in the report, so suck on that. Anyway, figured we would touch on that real quick. There's lots more to it. If you guys have more details into it, or other than TMZ breaking it on the 16th, which is funny.
Yeah.
Like I said, my take on it is they're just making sure that you remember, especially as close as we are to not only the Daytona 500 but Super Bowl, obviously. So let's just double check here, see how the game's going. Oh, Rams took it. So
it's going to be the Biffle game again.
Yep. Well, there you go. There is, geez, threw 3 picks. Stafford didn't even throw a touchdown. All right, bro. Whatever. All right. That makes sense. I'm sure a lot of people had Stafford no touchdowns on there. I'm sure a lot of people had Rams winning, Stafford no touchdowns.
Yeah, no touchdowns, see how many. Pick. Just show up and you got it.
Mm-hmm.
Throw some passes,
which is funny because Darnold won against the Colts. He got the win.
Yep.
Throwing a touchdown. Interesting. See if we noticed that. I did notice they both threw 42 passes.
I think Stroud threw like 47 attempts or something.
Jeez. What's the point of being a run? I guess running backs are good at catching out of the flats, huh?
Puka got 56 yards.
Ooh.
Oh, they both got 56 yards. Look at that. Loveland, 56. Yeah, look at that. 56. 5 receptions, 4 receptions, 54. Cabal, 54. One rushing yards.
Yeah, that's interesting. 160 like 16. Kind of interesting.
Huh.
Anyway. All right. Well, it is set. The divisional or the
conference.
Yeah, conference is set. It'll be Rams, Seahawks, and
for the third time this year again.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too. That that's gonna be another divisional meeting. So
yep, another rivalry game.
They'll be able to I think Rams won the first game, so this will be the tiebreaker too. Fitting. All right. Well, did you want to present your findings?
Oh,
yeah. So we can get Sebastian in here.
Yeah, some real interesting information. Like I said, no gematria, but really good stuff. Yeah, I was talking about just all these connections. It's so interesting. We talk about NASCAR, wrestling, football. I don't know any like wrestlers or football players with that April 29th birthday or anything, but for every reason, NASCAR is just, there's been so much April 29th and April 30th, especially like in my childhood. Like now, I know now there's not, but when I was young and I was watching it, especially when I was like 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, it was all about, April 20th, because you had Dale Earnhardt, you had Chad Little, you had Michael Waltrip, you had Elliott Stadler. So you had you got 2 April 29th, you got the 2 April 30th, Church of Satan's birthday. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting too how all of this kind of came together at around that certain time. Chad Little, what's interesting in 2000, of course, that was Chad Little, last kind of full season there, the last of the John Deere car as well, since he was Mr. John Deere and handed off to Kurt Busch, which then became the Sharpie car and stuff. But what's really interesting is Dale Earnhardt in 2000, he finished second in the standings to Bobby Labonte, and he won 2 races in 2000. And the first race he won was Atlanta, the first Atlanta race of the season. That was his first win. Chad Little would finish 6th. There's only 7 cars that finished on the lead lap in that race. So there wasn't really barely anybody on the lead lap in that race. It was really interesting. There's only 6 cars in lead or 7. Chad Little finished 6th. And it was just like 3 to 4 races before that in 1999, the last race of the season at that point was always Atlanta, and Chad Little just finished 6th again in 1999 for that race. I think that was Kevin LePage's only pole too, was in that race, the 1999 one. He was on the pole, and I think he did well that race too. Chad Little got 6th. And then he got 6th again the next year, just a few races into the season again at Atlanta. He got another 6th. And what's interesting, like I said, is that was that Dale Earnhardt Bobby Labonte race where Earnhardt just barely beat Labonte. Bobby Labonte was always pretty much its best track was Atlanta. I know Chad Little was always really good there. And then there was also the Talladega Fall race, which a lot of people always remember in 2000. That was Dale Earnhardt's final win. And that was also the race that Chad Little would make his final start in the John Deere car. It was Kurt Busch in that car the 3 races previous, starting his career. And then Chad Little would race that race. And then Kurt Busch would drive the John Deere car for the last 4 races. And then that would be it for the John Deere car. And it's interesting how all that kind of came to be, because you had, the last, of course, like I said, the season ended at Atlanta. So Kurt Busch would, obviously finish off the John Deere car at the Atlanta race for the 2000 race. I know Jerry Nadeau won that race. That was his only win. He should have won the race in 2001 as well, but ran out of gas, and Bobby Labonte ended up winning it. And there was another race Jerry Nadeau should have won in 2002, but I think something like broke on his card and Infineon or whatever, like a couple laps to go, or he would have won that one as well. He's someone I've talked about, should be someone maybe we mention down the line. He's kind of an interesting career, but it's so interesting because, like I said, you have kind of this passing of the torch with all this, Chad Little leaving, being done, and the John Deere car going away. And then obviously, Dale Earnhardt would die. The very next race would be the 2001 Daytona 500, where Dale Earnhardt would die. And that makes it very interesting. Just, like they were saying, the passing of the torch, those birthdays, the John Deere car being gone. I know Jeff Gordon's car going from the rainbow to the flames as well. There was a lot of things going on as well during that time, a lot of changes. All these things kind of setting up for that. And even in the 2001 Daytona 500, there's kind of a rivalry going on with Kurt Busch, the 97. He had a blue and white. I can't remember what his sponsor was, because it wasn't Sharpie yet. He was in an unsponsored car maybe, or it was a different sponsor. But Sharpie was about to come on board, and then Dale Earnhardt had flipped them off during the race before he died. So the 97 car and it was continuing on with Kurt Busch in that race, which is interesting when you think about the Chad Little John Deere stuff and Kurt Busch, and then that happening in the race, Dale Earnhardt dies. And even I know when Kurt Busch was at one of his starts, Rockingham, at the end of the season there was a Dale Earnhardt Jr. rivalry going on in that race where he wrecked Junior, and then Junior's he went back. He's like, well, I'm going to try not to kill him or whatever. And he was kind of following him around the track and stuff. So there was kind of some Earnhardt, Kurt Busch, 97 stuff brewing. It was kind of weird how that all transpired really towards the end. And the second to last race, which would have been, obviously, like I said, the last race Chad Little ever raced, was that the only one that he raced. He didn't race at all in 2001 in the Cup. He only raced in the Busch Series at the time. And then 2002, he would have made his final start there at Dover. Like I said, finishing 33rd. We talked about that. And what's interesting is the first race, he wouldn't be in that 97 car. The first race Kurt Busch would race was the final Dover race of the year in the fall. Kurt Busch would start. It's kind of interesting how, he would go back to that track and then make his only last start there in 2002. And that's the race he'd get out of the car and give it to Kurt Busch that week. And it's interesting, too, how the race before that, Chad Little's last, second to last race in the John Deere car was the kind of weird New Hampshire race where Jeff Burton would lead all 300 laps. I know I've talked about this a few times, bringing it up when we've been talking about NASCAR and stuff. That was always a very interesting race. How Jeff Burton he started second and then took the lead in that race, and then would lead every single lap in that race, which was interesting. And Chad Little was in it. Of course, he was his teammate as well. And at the very end of that season, it was weird too, because Jeff Burton would that was the last win, I believe, in the X-Side car, and then the last 6 races. So around the time that Kurt Busch, Chad Little thing was going on, and all that stuff was happening at the end of the season. I know Jeff Burton lost. That was Jeff Burton's best season in 2000 when he finished 3rd. He lost his X-Side car, and then it became the Citgo car with the last 6 races in the season. Of course, talked about X-Side, how it basically equals Trump and just different ciphers. But I always thought that was really interesting that had happened at the same time. Pretty much that was going on, and also that 2000 race, that second race, the final one of the season there in 2000. Of course, Balabani wins the championship, and it was also Darrell Waltrip's, of course, Michael Waltrip's brother, driving the 66. It was his final race in NASCAR as well, driving the 66. So he was at his last race, and then of course, is on to 2001. In 2001 season and everything, and that's where things kind of they get interesting as well. Like I said, with all these guys, have racing at the same time. And Dale Earnhardt was responsible for getting Michael Waltrip that car, putting him in the 15 car for the Daytona 500 2001 as well, because that was Michael Waltrip's first win. And Elliott Sadler would also score his first win in 2001 as well, just 5 weeks later, 35 days later at Bristol. In the 2001 Food City 500. And it's pretty interesting. Kurt Busch would get his first win ever also the next year as well in the 2002 Food City 500. So it's kind of interesting how that all played out as well. And then you had, like I said, you had Michael Waltrip winning the Daytona 500, and then Elliott Sadler in 2002 would finish second in the Daytona 500. So he was runner-up, and I know the announcers were kind of making a big deal about it too at the end. They're like, "Oh, look at Elliott Sadler getting ready to finish second in the Daytona 500," and stuff like that. They're all kind of hyping it up when it was happening. I remember watching that race too when that happened, and then it's so weird how Michael Waltrip, he used to drive in 95, in 95 previous, he had the 30 Pennzoil car, but in 1996, he had the Citgo car as well. Like Jeff Burton took over the Citgo car, and Michael Waltrip drove that car from 1996 to 1999. And then in 1999, Elliott Sadler ended up taking over the Citgo car until from 1999 to 2001, and then 2001 it became the Motorcraft sponsor. And see, it was weird there at the end of the 2000 season, because you had Jeff Burton driving the Citgo car, and then you had Elliott Sadler also still driving it. So it was kind of weird. You had 2 Citgo cars on the tractor for the last 6 races. So it's kind of weird. And they weren't necessarily teammates, but they did both drive for Ford. So there's kind of that overlap there. But and like I said, Dale Earnhardt, getting Michael Waltrip to, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, teammates with, Steve Park and Dale Earnhardt Jr., and then him winning, like I said, that 2001 Daytona 500. I just said, his brother, Darrell Waltrip, retiring the last race of 2000. Of course, they're going to have Michael win it 2001, give it to him. And his first race in the 15 car. Elliott Sadler almost getting it in 2002, finishing second in that race. Like I said, Elliott Sadler's win was just 5 weeks after Michael Waltrip's win. They'd both scored their first win. And also when Elliott Sadler won that race too, it was I don't know if it's still the record for farthest back win for a qualifier at Bristol. He started 38th in that race. I don't know if that's still the record for the farthest back winner at Bristol, but it was at the time. I know it still was for quite a bit of time. It might still be. Yeah, and then you had like I said, Kurt Busch would, get his first win a year later, the 97 at Bristol in that same race, the Food City 500. Kurt's first win, and he would win a total of 6 times at Bristol. That would be the very first one. It's kind of interesting how that all played out. And then, like I said, Kurt Busch had that first race ever at Dover in 2000. And like I said, Chad Little's last race ever was also at Dover in 2002. That was the first race there in 2002 when Chad Little raced. And I know he qualified for 2 other races in 2002, including the California race that Biffle actually ran, but he didn't make the field, but he did qualify with Biffle in that race, but he didn't make it. And then it was like a week or 2 later, he qualified for the Charlotte race, and he didn't get in that one, but he did get in the Dover race to finish 33rd. So I thought that was very interesting. He could have possibly raced there with Biffle, and who knows, man, that could have been his last race, him and Biffle together on April 28th, 2002. So that almost did happen. I don't know how far he missed out on qualifying in that race, but he did make an attempt. Same thing with that Charlotte race. So yeah, very interesting that one of those races would be that race when Biffle made his first start, finished 13th, just a day before April 29th. Very interesting. Yeah, and like I said, Kurt running 7 of the last 8 races in the John Deere car. Last 4 of the year were all him. And just like I said, that one race that they put Chad back in, of course, that'd be Dale Earnhardt's final win. And Chad Little's best finish that season was Dale Earnhardt's other win. And like I said, Chad Little getting that 6th place finish at the end of 99 at, of course, Atlanta, and then, starting the next season with another 6th place at Atlanta. And then Kurt Busch ending the John Deere car at that final Atlanta race with Darrell Waltrip retiring. And then, of course, the next race, you have the 2001 Daytona 500, Dale Earnhardt dying and all this stuff getting set up perfectly. Yeah, I just always noticed all these guys' birthdays just, right on top of each other. Just like, what is all this? April 29th, April 29th, April 30th, April 30th. I'm like, what is this? I don't know this in wrestling or football, but it's like NASCAR. It's just like, it's right there. And I just, it just always seems so interesting to me. And then you look at why these people had these, why all this stuff had to happen. And yeah, Chad Little's, like I said, last race, second to last race that season, that in the John Deere car was his last race, and that big streak of being in the car ended at that very weird restrictor plate New Hampshire race after the deaths of Kenny Irwin Jr. and Adam Petty. And we've talked about that too, how they died 56 days apart. Adam was at the first race of New Hampshire that year. And then Kenny Irwin Jr. was like a test session. It wasn't even a race yet. It was like a test session. And they both died at that race. That's why they went to restrictor plates, and no one was really able to pass. And Burton led the whole race, all 300 laps. But yeah, very interesting stuff. And it just, it's perfect things to show people, not even talking or showing, gematria, just how all these things perfectly line up and lined up perfectly, and how just, like I said, passing of the torches. Like I said, 2001 Daytona 500, Jeff Gordon's car going from the rainbow to the flames, all these changes, all these things happening.
Oh, one thing I don't remember that detail is that, okay, I didn't remember you saying that Petty and Irwin died at the same exact place at the same track.
Yep, 56 days apart.
56 days later.
Yep.
Okay. I don't remember. Yeah, that detail passed that, because it's like everything you said is already mind blowing, but then finding out they died in the exact same part of the track. Okay.
Yeah, this was something we talked. This was back in like 2024 when we talked about this. I don't know. I may have brought this up again, but we haven't talked about this in a while. But yeah, 2000 was a very interesting NASCAR season. And it's interesting too, because, and I brought this up before too, but if you take Adam Petty's 45 and you minus Kenny Irwin Jr.'s 42, you get the 3. And those 3 guys would be, they'd all die in a row. There's also Tony Roper who died
in the same injury as well.
Yep.
Like the same terminology of injury, basilar skull fracture. I gotta look it up. Sorry, go ahead. That's just these details are killing me.
Yeah, and like I said, you subtract their numbers, you get the 3. Dale Earnhardt would die in 2001, the very first race. Then you'd have I know Tony Roper also died in 2000 in a truck crash. Forget where it was, but he also died. So you had like 4 deaths in NASCAR in like less than a year. So there was just so much going on at that time. And these two, like I said, being, at Loudon, New Hampshire, and just the fact that, these were, it's weird too, because I know they all drove Chevys. I can't remember what Tony Roper drove in the trucks, but all these guys, like I said, they drove Chevys and stuff, and they were all different teams as well.
I think we've looked up New Hampshire motor. Yeah, it's got that 129. So funny.
123, like
Yeah, I see
conspiracy.
the 123 as well. Basilar skull fracture. Died instantly. I think that's, whether or not it's true that they're even dying, it's just like so many of them say that they died instantly. When does it ever say, after agonizing hours, he finally died? They never say that. It's so funny. They will give you details on certain things that are just not even necessary, that are like graphic and gory. You're never allowed to see them as far as what the news is as far as talking about the news. But when it comes to like celebrity death or things of that nature, it's always just like, oh, went peacefully, died instantly, felt no pain. He was Superman.
No, they said the deaths were because the throttles hung going into the corners, and they just went straight into the wall, and that's why they died. So that's why they put the restrictor plates on that on the cars for that second race to prevent that from happening. It's like the RPMs and stuff. It's just all these things. It's just like it's just so weird how there's never been a race like that either.
I want to know the point inspection. Like how many points of inspections were? I mean, think about it for rules enforcement. Think about the point inspection, like how many things they check on these cars. But you're going to have 2 cars on practice runs, or at least one was on a practice run. Was wait, no, not Sadler. Who was it was Kenny Irwin and
Adam Petty.
Adam Petty. I had him on another. They were both practice runs, right?
I think Adams was either a practice or it was a practice for a race. Yeah. And then Kenny Irwin was a test session, I believe. Yeah.
Either way, point being is they're non-race. They're not racing, and yet, they're testing these cars for performance, like how they drive the cars, but also, their time in their lap. These are, just like you practice anything else. And both of these guys are going to have their throttle stick open. Your throttle? I mean, imagine a point inspection. It's like, how high up on the chart are they? Do you think they're inspecting like the throttle and things of that nature, things that could be messed with for like rules enforcement? But for 2 separate cars to have their throttle stick open, get the fuck out of here.
He ran 47 races. Look at that, 47 races over 3 years in the Xfinity series,
which is also an average of 19. Or wait, no.
Yeah, Adam died at 19. I forget how old Kenny Irwin Jr. was. I think he was 30.
I'm tripping. Wait, is it? Oh, no. So That's hilarious. Third turn. Irwin. You're in 32.
I think he died at 32.
Both had 3-year careers. Both died on turn 3. Yeah, he was 30 years old. Yep. Petty was 20 or 19. Yeah. Very, very interesting. Something to look into. I have sent the invite towards Sebastian. We'll see how long it takes him to get in here.
And you know what's interesting too, like I was bringing all that up too. It's interesting, you know, why we talk about this too, because you got to think what it's 25 years. Death equals 25 since the death of Dale Earnhardt. So you know, all these things are very relevant right now. And you know, 26 years ago, you know, it was 2000 to 26. You know, Kurt Busch, Chad Little, John Deere, all that stuff. I mean, I can definitely see him paying tribute and homage to that this year. It might be in the 500 itself, in exactly 25 years, death equaling 25. So something we'll definitely have to pay attention to, especially just the way the whole year might go, especially with them, you know, all the changes again. It's like, you know, all these things that were changing going into 2001, just all these things. Look at this year, they're changing the playoffs again, and they're going back to the chase kind of somewhat and modifying.
Oh, we haven't touched on that.
Yeah.
Forgot to mention that. Good point. Here, let me just pull it up because we kind of left it as a cliffhanger last week. Which, man.
And SVG in that 97 too. That's what I'm looking for. It's like, where's the Chad Little coming? Where's the Kurt Busch coming?
That's pretty funny. But yeah, we were. It was at the very end of last stream we had with Illegal Smile, but we were talking about, you know, predictions on what the rules changes are going to be, and I think we both kind of agreed. But I said that I was saying maybe they go to Winston, not only because of all the Winston things that were brought up that we went over, but I just had a feeling, you know, rather than a whole new set of rules, that they would go back to an old format. And I was wrong, but I was wrong by only, you know, just by a little bit. They are going back to a rule set. They're not coming up with like a whole new rule set. Let's see. NASCAR back to chase. And yeah, Briscoe and Elliott. I guess they say the modernized version of the chase. I wonder what all the differences are. I didn't read into the differences, actually. 10 race championship, top 16 drivers.
Yeah, the chase was something that was always a bit different. Like when they first brought it in 2004, and that was when Kurt Busch won, of course. He won the very first one, the 97. So it's interesting they're going back to that. And then, yeah, and it's like the beginning of that, like the chase and stuff. In 2004, 2006, it was like 10 people in it. Then 2007, they added like 2 wild card spots for 11th and 12th, and then I think it was up to 14 cars at one point. Maybe made it. I can't remember. And then I know they changed. The points were the same. The way the points kind of were from like that time up through 2011. In 2011, they changed like the points. They were a lot less in the races. They weren't up to like 180 some. They were maybe they might have even been 100 points. They really reduced the points in the races and stuff. And then that was up till 2013, and then 2014 is when they started the 3 races, and then the 3 races you have eliminations, and I don't know if that's when they first had the 16 car playoffs, where it was where I think that's when they first went up to 16. I think was in 2014, and then they had the eliminations, and then that's what they've been doing. It's just 3 races and 4 people are gone, 3 races, 4 people are gone, just to have down to that last race. So they had that for a while. They've always kind of changed it. I know, like and Jimmy Johnson was. They were always saying it was because of Jimmy Johnson. You know, Jimmy Johnson won. Of course, he never won it in the Winston, but he won in the. He won 7 just different chase formats. You know, 2006 and 2007 they added 2 more spots, and they also had a half season where they raced the old Gen 4 car, and then you had the COT, or the car of tomorrow they called it, in 2007, where they had like a half and half season with it. And 2008 it was all the new car, and then 2009, 2010, and then they changed the points. Like I said, in 2011, then he would win in 2013 with the new points, and then he'd win in 2016 with the newer one that they had, where the elimination. So he won in all different kinds, and that's why they're always saying that's why they're changing it, because of Jimmy Johnson. And now they're going back to somewhat of an older way, but still kind of modified.
Were in the format last year for the playoffs.
16. They've been going at 16 for a while.
Trying to do the math. I couldn't remember how many there were by round. Okay. Well, I was wrong about that then. They're keeping the same amount of drivers. I did think that they might do something that, well, for sure I knew that they weren't going less drivers. So in that way I was close, but yeah, they kept it at 16. So based on the schedule, we can just go, we can look at the last 10. So the last 10 races are playoff races, basically.
Yeah, that's the way they've been doing it for a while. Last 10. I know it's different formats. They said in the Xfinity, which is now the O'Reilly. They always change that series the most, I think. And you got the trucks, but it's different for each one. Has different a different amount of people that are going to be in it, and different amount of races as well. I think the trucks have the least amount of people and least amount of races, and the O'Reilly is kind of in the middle, and there's less people in that, and then NASCAR is the most. It was kind of when they first brought in the chase too. They used to still do like the Winston Cup style format back in those times with the Busch series and the trucks. They kept the old. I forget when they updated. When they all went to like the playoffs, I forget when that was. To that, but yeah, they were sticking with the older stuff for the trucks and Xfinity for a while. Even the cars.
So the playoffs will start in September. So the first race of September will be the first race of the last 10 playoff races. And so basically this will be like a cutoff, correct? For people who have the most points and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, that's definitely a more consistent way to do it. I mean, there's obvious flaws in how they were doing it before, but it's almost funny because then again, if they were doing this format with more points for wins, I wonder how SVG would have done last year with his with 5 wins or something. Was it 4 wins, 5 wins, 5 wins? I wonder how he would have if he would have made the playoffs in this format. Probably, even though did he even top 10 another race? I don't think he did. Maybe 1. I don't know.
Yeah, he might have had 1. But I don't think he would have made. I don't think he would have made the 16 cut. I think he would have been short.
And of course, that depends. We'll see how they want to play it next year. If they're going to keep going with the heavy hitters, like top heavy, or they're going to really spread the wealth. You see certain drivers that they've been kind of like hinting at for a while now, but they haven't broken through. Of course, if you think of like Bubba, of course Briscoe had a great year, all things considered. Who's Bubba's teammate? Reddick. He's won one to watch for. I would assume, of course, we're going to have Zillich, so it's going to be a whole new. That's another thing. I'm not. It'd be nice to see like an extended schedule with like all the cars, at least for Daytona. Let's see if everybody's set for Daytona, because I don't really know how this exactly works. You'll have like some cars that I've never even heard of in races. I wonder if Leggy's starting. Okay, I don't need that. Yes, that's an entry list. Okay, Chastain, Cindric, Dillon, Gragson's. He's moving up. Gragson was Xfinity last year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Ah. Okay. Larson, Keselowski, Suarez, Busch, Elliott, Chase, Ty Dillon, Denny Hamlin, Blaney, Allmendinger, Busher, Briscoe, Bell, Barry, Logano, Wallace, Byron, Gilliland. He was he Xfinity last year? Or am I tripping?
He might have. That's David Gillen's brother. He might be. He might have been in Cup last year.
Okay, he might have been too. I just maybe a name I don't remember ever seeing or noticing or ever looking up before. That's why I'm wondering. But I know I've seen it, which makes me feel like I've seen it in the Xfinity, because I think he's like done well in Xfinity enough for me to see him in like the top 5. But I don't remember that name. Herbst, Zane Smith, Algier, Cole Custer, General Custer, Nemchek, Eric Jones, Reddick, Stenhouse Jr., still on the 47, so interesting. Bowman, Cody Ware, Ty Gibbs. Look out for Ty Gibbs in the 54. Either look out for his success or maybe his downfall potentially. It's not that's a dangerous name.
Oh yeah, there is no 99 car, so Ginsburg has the largest number car, 97. There's no 99 this year.
He wins. That's a
88 and 97. Those are the 2 biggest numbers.
That's interesting too. That's funny.
Yeah.
And so, how many races is Johnson going for this year, or is he just running the Daytona?
He always does Daytona.
Yeah.
He might be in a few more. I think he may try and makes a few starts a year at least.
Casey Mears.
Yeah, he's old. He's been around a long time.
I don't remember him either. That's interesting. I don't even remember Garage 66. Yeah, I would have remembered this name. That's a funny name.
Yeah, it is an interesting name.
Obviously, raced the 66 you were talking about. A former driver who ran the 66? I thought. Okay, well, I'm pretty sure
Philip 66.
I'm pretty sure all of the other than Zillich obviously team member of Gisbergen. Here, let's see if we can see who moved up. I guess we can say like new NASCAR Cup drivers 2026. Oops, not 2020. The major new driver. Is that what I asked? I'm sorry. Is that what I asked? Okay, this says one person. Is he really the only one? I thought I saw a couple Trackhouse Racing guys that were new. I think it's AI. I guess he is the only one, huh? Well, goes to show I still got some room to remember these dudes because I didn't remember a few of those names. Yeah, there's it's gonna be fun, gonna be interesting for sure. We'll see how they plan on playing this whole 97. I think you're definitely catching wind of the ritualism, or at least the homage being paid, of course, with Chad Little and the 97 formerly, and
Yeah.
88's been, obviously that card's been made the rounds for sure, famously. So probably potentially the most. Potentially they're going for another huge run for the number 88 car. They bring it back to prominence. Now you can almost look like SVG was kind of like the preempt, like the preemptive goal, like not goal, like the preemptive move for NASCAR to get 88 back in people's like heads again. Now they'll be paying attention to it because 88 did so well last year, and so it'll be natural subconsciously to see the 88 on the podium potentially. Maybe he'll break his other collarbone or something.
Yeah.
Flipping on the Masonic checkerboard. Oh, a little worrisome that I can't seem to get a hold of our boy. We did run a little bit later than I told him, but I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes from what I told him. So
I forget he's in Illegal Smiles on the West Coast, so he's our time, but Sebastian's in Florida, so it's it's almost it's almost 11 there.
I think he could handle it. He's got that. He's got the young energy still.
Yeah, he does.
Well, I'll just spam a quick another invite real quick.
Spam wave.
Yep. Just send a wave of spam his way. Because I am super looking forward. He had I don't know if it's a concise presentation or just like some cliff notes or whatever. We were going to find out when he got in. But he's kind of continuing that whole Masonic Jesuit alliance type information that he's been digging up out of books and manuscripts and things of that nature that he's been looking into, which is fun and interesting because we do gloss over that. And we've had episodes that are more focused on that kind of thing, but it's been quite a while. So it was going to be nice to kind of dip our toes back into it. We're always talking about Masons and Jesuits, obviously, but to have a concise conversation about it with another person would have been very, very good. So hopefully we're able to get him in. Sending it now. Yeah, it's sending the correct link and everything. I just was double checking because emails are only source of communication. So well, let's see. I guess in the meantime, I was thinking of a segue to, obviously we've talked about masonry and in NASCAR, as well as, of course, the NFL and sports in general. But one thing I did notice let's see. Did I get rid of that? I was going to say. Is that the Shriners race was not this year. So no Shriners 400 this year. At least I don't believe so. So I wonder if we're going to see as much overt Masonic ritualism this year. Sure we will.
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
That's so crazy. We're just 4 weeks away from the 500.
Uno month. Very true. And then
1 week after the Super Bowl.
Exactly. They pile it on.
Yep.
So we kind of did no, but not really track by track, but we looked at some key tracks for next year, talking to Illegal Smile last week. So if you guys notice anything that sticks out, like a race or something ritualistic. Now, maybe we can continue on with we talked about the potential for like a big event to happen in NASCAR this year, potentially even a death, of course, which is funny because we talked about this last year, and now you can almost chalk up the Biffle death as that death. You know what I mean? It happened in the off season, and it's not exactly what we were talking about, but it's one of the biggest, thing for at least for a while. Who was the most press-worthy death in NASCAR before Biffle?
Yeah, I mean, you just had the Michael Annett death.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm not exactly sure. I've heard of Greg Biffle. I never heard of Michael Annett other than covering him with you.
Casey Kane, obviously.
Casey Kane.
Casey Kane.
Casey Kenneth Kane. Well, shoot. I wish I had an alternate way to get a hold of him. Hopefully it's not some like weird connection thing. I would assume if it was connection based, he would have emailed me.
Yeah, usually he's always. He seems like he's a night owl. He seems like he's up later too. I don't know if maybe
I
he's
would
changed.
find it hard to believe that he would just like fall asleep in the 25 minutes or so we went over. Well, I don't have anything necessarily exact that we had planned other than our guest here, but is there, I guess we can continue on with your thought process on what you were talking about, if you had anything more, or where do you want to take this bad boy?
Yeah, I think it's like I said, how we were talking about how they kind of just they line stuff up. We were talking about kind of that time period of like 2000 to 2001. Just all these things going on that were happening. Yeah, and essentially, like the 2001 Daytona race too. That was the first race they brought Dodge back as well. Dodge made its return to NASCAR. So you had Chevy, Ford, Pontiac, and Dodge. So that was interesting at the time as well. And now you have the Dodge coming back to the trucks this year. So you do have some homage being paid there as well, with Dodge making a comeback. Yeah, Gordon's first race in the Flames. Jared also went to UPS that year off of Ford Quality Care. Tony Stewart would win the championship there in 2002. He'd get second in 2001 to Gordon. Bobby Labonte would win in 2000. And second, he was second to Jared in 1999. So you had the Joe Gibbs Pontiacs at an average finish of 1.5. So they were the best team pretty much during that time overall, with Stewart and Labonte and those guys.
One thing I do
Roush
notice.
was kind of interesting at that time too, because you didn't like Chad Little did really good in the 98, the 99 Daytona 500. So you actually, if there was a few, the race ended there when Dale Earnhardt won is in 98. The race ended with like a couple laps to go because if they didn't do the green white checkered overtime stuff till 2004. But back then they just added one attempt in 2004. I can't remember what race it was, but before that, if a caution would just come out, the race would just end pretty much. If they couldn't get it going again, it would just, there was no overtime. So you were going to get the miles in no matter what. And, if the race ended under caution, or sometimes you might get a 1-lap shootout, or you might get a couple laps shootout depending on stuff, or if the red flag came out. But, yeah, that was, I'm trying to think. The 98, 99. Chad Little got 7th in 98, and he got 9th in 99. But he was up there with Gordon and Earnhardt and stuff. He led 2 laps, I think, in 2000. I don't remember if he led anything in 98 or 99, but he did really well both those races. He was up front, top 5, running with like Gordon and Earnhardt and ahead of those guys. And with like in 99 too, he was in the mix there at like 20 to go. It was a really good finish. He was almost could have won it as well. He was probably the best Ford and possibly the best Roush and Ford restrictor plate driver those years. I know it was kind of weird in 98. They had the Taurus, but he was driving a Thunderbird. They allowed him to drive a Thunderbird. You had to have a car from like 96 or newer. So you could choose to go with the brand new Taurus, or you could run an older Thunderbird. So it was weird seeing him in a Thunderbird. Then you had the other guys driving a Taurus. So you had 2 different Fords on the track during that time. That was something back with the old car. You could run older models back in those years, like for a couple years back. So
I wonder if that's similar to like the whole switch over to OBD2. So I wonder if it was like the computers in the cars that all had to be similar or something like that. Maybe weight ratios and like of the electronics that they started to put in cars. Now, obviously, these cars are different than models that you buy from the dealership, but
yeah, they did something like that in 2000. In 2003, because the 2002 you had the old Grand Prix, and then 2003 they changed the new Grand Prix. But in the Busch Series, at the restrictor plate tracks, the same thing with Chad Little driving the Thunderbird instead of the Taurus. They'd race the 2002 Grand Prix, the older one, instead of the newer model. So and then the rest of the season they'd run the newer Grand Prix instead of the older one. But the restrictor plates come around, they just ran. So you had 4 races like that. It's like with Chad Little. I can't remember how many other guys ran the Thunderbird instead of the Taurus when they had the option. Because in 99, I know he drove the Taurus all year. Like I said, 98 was the race he should have won there at Texas, and that was on the death anniversary of obviously, like I said, Kurt Cobain. Paying the tribute there at Washington. It's funny how that his best finish was that race, and that was on Kurt Cobain's death day, and then you have Kurt Busch taking over his car. So there's a lot of Kurt connections there. And him, passing down the torch to, Kurt Busch and kind of Roush Racing and stuff, and setting that all up, and how that all kind of took place there in 2000.
Where is Mr. Jack Roush? Still kicking. April
April
19th.
19th. Yep.
Interesting day of birth.
Maybe he'll make it to 97.
Yeah. I guess 84 would be appropriate death as well with his April 19th birthday. Keeping in theme.
Born in 42. Yeah, it's interesting because you had Roush win the last Winston Cup there in 2003 and then won the first chase in 2004. You had Kenseth and Kurt Busch.
Interesting.
Roush was always such an interesting team too because a lot of people would say that like when like Ted Musgrave was over there and then like Kevin LePage and Johnny Benson for those couple years before he took over the 10 MB2 Pontiac Grand Prix when he had that Cheerios car. People would say that like Chad Little's car and Benson's and like LePage and Musgrave, like they didn't have the cars that Burton and Mark Martin had and stuff. And that they didn't have the equipment and they weren't like up to par and stuff. And then that's why they usually didn't do as well as like Burton and Mark and stuff. It's kind of weird too. Like if you look back, like 2001, Kurt Busch, and when he had the Sharpie car, I mean, he had a few good races where he ran well. He got some top fives, some top tens, but for the most part, it was kind of a struggle. He had one pole as well. 2002, he had the breakout year, where he finished third in the championship. If Marlon didn't break his neck, Marlon probably would have finished second to Stewart. And then you had Mark Martin finishing second in the standings, and you had Kurt Busch finishing third. But Kurt Busch, too, he was so good such towards the end of the year, too. If he didn't have like a couple problems there, whatever with the team or getting wrecked, something like that, like towards like the middle of the year or whatever, if he took those away, he probably would have finished second to Tony Stewart or maybe could have won it. So he was super consistent at the end of 2002 when he had the 97. And it was weird too in 2003 because when Kenseth won it, he only won. And that's one reason why they changed the format too, because Kenseth only one win there in 2003. A lot of people didn't feel like he should have won the championship, but he was just consistent. But the thing was, at Roush that year, all the other cars, like Kurt Busch had a lot of like engine problems, and Jeff Burton and Mark Martin, and Biffle didn't do really that great that year either. That was Biffle's first year in the 16, and Kenseth was like the only car at Roush that wasn't really having a lot of problems that year. He was like the only car that was not having engine issues and stuff that was finishing the races. So I always thought Roush was kind of an interesting team. It just seemed like certain cars at certain points seemed like they had advantages over others, or they didn't seem like they were all that alike. So that was always one team I thought that was interesting with the people that were there. And 2004, he had Kurt Busch's first championship. In 2005, he just had that super team where that was like just the best team like of all time with Biffle, Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kenseth, and Mark Martin. Were all five of them made the chase, but none of them won it. And it's so weird too because none of those guys would ever go on to win a championship after that either. I mean, Kurt Busch had the one in 2004. Kenseth never won another one, and he won the one in 2003. He never won again. Mark Martin never won. Biffle never won a championship. Edwards never won. So it's so weird, that after that season, Stewart won the championship, but Roush and those guys, none of them would ever win a championship. So it's just, it's very interesting how all that came to be. And I know I was watching, I can't remember who I was, can't remember, it was Jamie McMurray, I think. Yeah, I think it was Jamie McMurray I was watching because he raced for Roush. He took over Kurt Busch's 97 in 2006. It became the 26 car. They didn't have a 97 car anymore, so McMurray took it over. And like I said, it became the 26. And I know he was talking about racing at Roush. I think it was Jamie McMurray, but just like how he was talking about like how badly he was like treated and they made him feel, and it was like how bad of a place it was and stuff. So I always thought that was kind of weird, just like all the things you hear about Jack Roush, and like you see the people that race for him and all this stuff, and it's just really interesting.
Who does Johnson race for? Legacy Motor Club. I actually have never looked into that.
A great legacy.
Leaving a legacy. Interesting. Just doing some background, looking into some dates on birthdays and some outliers, just seeing if anything pops up right off the bat. Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch. Then I suppose we can look at some of the guys more a little bit hotter off the press. I mean, what are the odds that Briscoe or Elliott wins the Daytona 500?
Yeah.
Once they switch to the chase format. One thing I did want to point out too, I guess I'll go back to that. Who was it? Dale. It's Dale Earnhardt's. Just the iconography of that, or like the symbology of that poster for the 2001 Daytona 500. Just the way they use the stars on the outside of the like epsilons. Very, it's almost Masonic. It's almost Shriner. Have you've seen the Shriner crest, right? Where they're like the crescent moon, like vertically, and then the stars in the middle of that. Sometimes the Templar cross is in the middle of it too. But I just thought that was a let's see. Speaking of, Dale Earnhardt also died from a basilar skull fracture. I mean, does anyone die from anything different?
Yeah, and he had a way worse. He had a way worse wreck, and like there is a lot of worse wrecks he was in compared to that one. I know, like the '96 wreck he was in at Talladega was way worse. It was 5 years previous where he went like head into the wall, driver's side, flipped over, got hit on the roof. I mean, just and a way more awful looking wreck compared to that one. And he literally walked away with nothing.
Crashing with the 36 car, huh?
Yep. Schrader.
But let's see here. One of these pictures. Or no, it wasn't one of the pictures. It was when I looked at his last race. Just that, I don't know. It just looks, just the whole motif looks symbolic. Gives off a little bit of some Saturn action. Who was it? You said Michael Waltrip won this race?
Yep.
And what did he drive?
This was his first race for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated in the 15 car, Napa.
I think that, first of all, I was reading this. That's right. Okay. The number 15 car. Okay. That's pretty interesting right there. First of all, you have a father and son racing in the same race. He's witnessing his dad die on the track. Meanwhile, because this is between him and his son, right? At the inception of Dale Earnhardt Inc., his son was involved.
Yep. Dale Earnhardt Jr. And Steve Park were his teammates. But Dale Earnhardt raced for Richard Childress.
Oh, okay.
So he was in the 3, and then.
But I'm saying, as far as their team, it's almost similar to Hamlin racing for Gibbs, but co-owning 23XI, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, Richard Childress, I know there was the 3, the 31 that was like Mike Skinner, but Skinner didn't. There's different people in that 31 car that year. And it's so, the 2001 season was so interesting because Waltrip would win that first race. The second race, Steve Park would pick up his second win. Steve Park won his first race at Watkins Glen in 2000. That was the race that ended Gordon's streak of Gordon tried to get 7 in a row and Tony Stewart like wrecked him on like the beginning of the race, but Gordon was making a comeback, but he couldn't get back up there. But Steve Park would go on to win, and then Steve Park would get his second and final win in 2001, the next race after that. And then it was that Atlanta race where Kevin Harvick, who took over Dale Earnhardt's car when he died, and the 29, which is interesting, 29, he's born the 29th. Kevin Harvick takes over his car in the 29 for Richard Childress. So Harvick ran all races but the 2001 Daytona 500 because of that, and then he would win just 3 weeks later. So you had a win for Childress, you had a win for 2 wins in a row for DEI with Waltrip and Park. Just how that whole season was going on. I know like Junior wrecked like 2 weeks in a row, like on the first lap too in those races. It was crazy how he was having like really bad luck and stuff when that was going on. And yeah, that was a really interesting time. And like I said, too, how Michael Waltrip drove the 21 Sitco car from 1999 or 1996 to 1999. And then the 1999 season, Elliott Sadler took it over. So he had the Thunderbird there a couple of years. He had the Taurus, and then Elliott Sadler comes and takes his car for 99 and 2000. So you have the same birthday, April 30th, taking over the exact same car with the same birthday guy. And then 2001, obviously, like I said, they wouldn't have Sitco anymore. It would be Jeff Burton's full sponsor. So he would go to Motorcraft, and then Waltrip wins his first race ever, 2001. 5 weeks later, Elliott Sadler wins his first race ever in the 21 and the Motorcraft car. And then he would finish second in the Daytona 500 next year in 2002. So you have Waltrip win it in 2001 and Sadler gets second the next year. So those two have those connections, like Chad Little and Dale Earnhardt have those big time connections as well. That's like why they said, why is Chad Little racing in this race, because they have the same birthday, him and Dale Earnhardt, and this is going to be Dale Earnhardt's final win. And then Kurt Busch is going to continue on and take over from there, and that's going to be the end of John Deere. And like I said, you have Darrell Waltrip finishing his career there at Atlanta. John Deere goes down. Jeff Gordon's no longer the rainbow car. It was a very significant race when you really look back at it. Darrell Waltrip steps down because Michael Waltrip's going to win the next race. Dale Earnhardt's going to die. Gordon's going to be in the flames. Chad Little's not going to be there. Kurt Busch is going to be having a rivalry with Earnhardt before he dies in the in the earlier stage of the 500. And like I said, that little mix up with Kurt Busch and Dale Jr. there at Rockingham. Go figure, that was in North Carolina. They're from Dale Jr. is from North Carolina. All those North Carolina connections. That'd be the Rockingham race where that little rivalry happened. And it's Kurt Busch flipping off Dale Earnhardt in the 500, then Earnhardt flipping Kurt Busch off, and then they die, and he dies. So yeah, I mean,
this whole Sterling Marlin angle as well. I mean, just the names, these names are so good. Basically, well, what does Sterling mean actually? Does it just mean shiny?
What's funny? Chad Little drove a Sterling. Chad Little drove the Sterling Cowboy car. The 97 Pontiac Sterling Cowboy car. I always thought that was interesting. Like, what's Sterling Cowboy mean? What is that? That was like before he became John Deere.
Okay, it's associated with silver because the coins that were called sterlings were made out of silver, and thus you have sterling silver being the same silver that the coins were made out of. They would make other things out of that silver, so that's where you get sterling silver from. So it's basically money fish. Then again, marlin might have another meaning. I like looking up name etymologies for certain things. Not just the Oxford Dictionary definition is not generally what I want to look up.
Like the Florida marlin is the fish.
I am aware of the fish, but I guess yep, the fish. Oh, okay. I guess actually before the fish being named the fish was named after a marlin spike. So there was a thing before the fish. So you learned something here, guys. Come on now.
Marlin spike.
Okay, cool. So I guess marlins were named relatively recently, or is a marlin spike a very old tool? Interesting. But yeah, just this guy's he bumps Dale Earnhardt and he goes flying and he dies instantly. Then he's getting hate mail, and not until Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Michael Waltrip come out and publicly defend him, and he was cleared by NASCAR for any wrongdoing. Then he kind of cools down, and then the very next season he crashes Jeff Gordon. Just like shit.
Yeah.
This guy.
That race. That's like the 2001, the 2002 and 2001 Daytona 500 is like when this is like what, like I could see NASCAR was like how like rigged it was even before those races, but those are the two races where I go back and the 2002 one, actually I remember that one really well. Like I remember that day, and I was like pissed off, like Ward Burton winning it just the way he won, and Elliott Sadler finishing second. Kurt Busch was like fourth or fifth, but Marlin getting out of his car. Before the race, they said, whatever you do, you can't get out of your car to work on it if it's a red flag. They had this discussion before the race. And what does he do? He gets out of his car during the red flag and starts pulling on his car, gets DQ'd, goes to the back of the line, just because that restart where they all just wrecked, and then they got going, and then Gordon spins off the front bumper of Marlin. So Gordon's, could win the race. Then he gets spun out, wrecked. Just, put him to the back of the line, getting spun by Marlin. Then Marlin's got to go to the back of the line because he got out of his car during the red flag, DQ'd. I just was watching. So I'm like, it made me so mad. Even as a kid, this race just pissed me off so bad. It's like, I'm like, this is just so retarded. This is so dumb. And like Tony Stewart was like the favorite to win it. He won the 2001, 2002 Bud shootouts. He probably had the best car to win. I know Bobby Labonte had a good car too, but I think he got involved in the wreck or crash or whatever that happened. But Tony Stewart's like motor supposedly just blew like 2 laps into the race. He's just out. He has the best car, probably should have won, and then just all this stuff. That was just like the race nobody wanted to win. But like as far as like the last great season of NASCAR, that was definitely probably the 2002 season. Like, so much, like you had so much happening that year too. You had Jimmy Johnson coming in the picture, won those 3 races. Finishing 5th. He had that win there at California. He's from California, gets his first win, California. Biffle's first race. You had the 2 Dover races, Chad Little's last race. Johnson wins, and then the other Dover race that Biffle was at, he won both of those. So there was a lot of things that happened in something too as well.
So interesting because you have 2 Labontes in this crash. You have 2 Wallaces in this crash. You have 2 Burtons in this crash.
Yeah.
You have 2 Gordons in this crash. It's like, bro, what the fuck? Seems to me like something you could definitely orchestrate with all those people, relatives, and the like. Tony Stewart's always been interesting to me because, just same with like Jeff Gordon. It's like I didn't follow NASCAR or anything like that, but I knew about Tony Stewart mainly because his, Tony the Tiger, And of course, later on, his running down homeboy on the dirt track, but it was an accident apparently. When was
Yeah.
that? Let's see.
That was in 2014. I think it was in September.
Oh, this guy got a fat Wikipedia. Okay, I didn't realize how long it was going. Okay. Let's see. I would hope that they would just highlight it. Here we go. Yeah. Kevin Ward Jr., someone to look into, because talk about.
Yeah, Ward Burton, Kevin Harvick, and then the junior part says like you got a little bit of NASCAR in every one of his names.
Not to mention, it's just like, who the hell knows about this guy? Imagine if you're getting ran down by somebody and the infamy just like working in favor of Tony Stewart. Nobody cares about it anymore. No one knows who you are, but he's still a big name. Kevin Ward Jr. Let's bring him up actually.
Yeah, I remember this when this happened too.
I actually did see the video of this one.
Yep.
Oh, yikes. 20-year-old.
Yeah, he was a youngie.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh, wait. What the hell? Okay. There it is. Canandaigua Speedway. Let's check it out. Interesting. 75. Got the Order Out of Chaos, New World Order. I don't think that really plays here, but let's see. Tony Stewart.
Let's get that 45.
What's his full name? I'm sure he has a crazy full name. Well, let's leave this up here. Just double check. Tony Stewart. Anthony Wayne Stewart.
He's 54 too.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh, cannot spell. Mm-hmm. What about just his slave name? That's his slave name equals 59 and 76. Whoops. I was just joking. Okay. Smoke, what's that equal? 72. 27.
17, yeah.
All right, let's look at boy Kevin Ward Jr. Born in Rome, New York. All roads lead
To Rome, New York.
all roads lead to Tony Stewart's car. May 23rd. I can't think of that being anything on that day. Let's see. Kevin, what's his full name? Just Kevin Ward Jr. Okay. It's just so crazy that he's just going on. Kevin Ward Jr. equals 54. Uh-oh. Look out, Tony.
Yeah.
Of course, got the 72 in there, too. I mean, come on, man. Same ciphers. Oops. All right. About halfway through the race, Stewart bumped Kevin Ward Jr., causing Ward to lose control and spin out into the wall. A full course yellow caution flag was displayed. Ward exited his vehicle and charged down the banked circuit. Several cars tacked down to the inside lane to avoid him. As Stewart approached, Ward lunged at Stewart's car. Is that what this? I don't remember. Maybe a little bit, but it was still like a ways back. I thought maybe we'll pull up the video. Attempting to grab. Oh, maybe he did try to grab his wing. I don't necessarily. I don't remember it. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just don't remember it that much. Which resulted in him being struck by Stewart's right rear tire. Mortally injured when the right rear tire of Stewart's car struck him. Ward was flung 25 feet across the track to his death. Oh, hey, a different type of death. Interesting. I wonder if that's still like the same thing. Sounds the same.
Yeah.
Massive blunt trauma.
So we hit the blunt too hard.
Seriously. Tony was smoking, dude.
Yeah, that's the joke.
60. Interesting.
120. Illuminati.
And what? Right before Watkins Glen. Stewart later released a statement. There aren't words to describe the sadness I feel about the accident that took the life of Kevin Ward Jr. Like he wasn't there, like he was out of his body. It's a very emotional time for all involved, and it is the reason I've decided not to participate in today's race. Imagine, like, it's so out of pocket. It's like everything about it. People just like stop thinking about sports. You know how often this kind of stuff happens, where it's like, in reality, it's like, why is there no realization that, like, why would a league, why would the standard of any kind of business, league, anything expect you to make like personal statements on these kinds of things because of what, as to why you're not going to be at a function in the future, and to treat it so corporate, to corporatize something like this? Like, how does that not come off as like, how does Tony Stewart have any fans anymore after this? Like, never mind him even hitting him, killing him, but then to give like a statement, like just cut and paste, copy and paste statement like this. And that's why I'm not going to be racing at Watkins Glen, even like shouting it out. Like, it's just so annoying. Like, who can't, like, you can't say anything else. You're not going to say anything else. My thoughts and prayers. Oh yeah, no one's ever said my thoughts and prayers. What is that anyway? What is my thoughts and prayers? What is that? What is that supposed to mean? What and are any of these people going and praying after this? Fuck no. Tony Stewart didn't go and like take a half of a day to literally like, you know, emotional turmoil filled praying and just like hardening into his faith. That they always say that kind of shit, but there's absolutely no way. He stuffed his face probably full of Oreos and probably played some like 2K or something.
But it's just like when Dale Earnhardt died, and then you have Dale Earnhardt Jr. and stuff. It's like it didn't even really phase him. You know, it's like,
I mean, he inherited the entire thing they had going.
yeah.
And it's interesting. I mean, how popular is his, like, they do kind of use the Dale Earnhardt Jr. podcast. Well, it's like the because it's like Dale Earnhardt Inc. brand, but is that like the gold standard for like podcasts? Because everybody does podcasts. Kenny Wallace has a podcast.
Yeah.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has a podcast. I think Mark. No. Who's that other guy? Oh, I can see his face. He was. I'm just not there with names right off the bat. I don't know how to. There's another guy. He has like a. Trying to describe him would be a. I know I've looked him up recently, but he would have been driving, I think, against like ladder latter in his career, Jeff Gordon, and then like mainly probably against like Jimmy Johnson and Bush's. Is it Carl? Isn't there a driver, Carl something? Carl Edwards. Yeah, Carl Edwards has a podcast. God, I knew his face, but not his name. Yeah, look, boom, there it is. There's him on the Dale Earnhardt Jr. podcast. Oh, so maybe it wasn't his podcast. Maybe I was remembering this thing. Maybe he doesn't have his own podcast. No, he doesn't have his own podcast. I think he does analyst. He either was an analyst or still is. But anyway, there's a lot of former drivers that have podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah, Kenny Wallace is big. Yep, Dale Jr.'s.
Oh yeah, Denny Hamlin. We've talked about Denny Hamlin's podcast.
Yep.
Kevin Harvick. I've seen his.
Jeff
Jimmy
Burton.
Johnson has his. Jimmy Johnson, I guess, has a podcast. I did not actually know that. Interestingly enough, there's Jeff Burton. So yeah, quite a few.
And Edwards, he took over Burton's car too.
Mm.
Yeah, Burton always had weird sponsorship things, like that thing in 2000 with X-Side, and then Sitco coming on there, and then Sitco was on there in 2001, 2001, 2, 3, and then 2004 he had like some different sponsors, some sponsorship issues. Then he didn't have like a sponsor at all. Then he lost the 99 car like mid-season to Edwards, and then he was in the 30 car, and then he went to the 31, where he won a little bit there, and like where he took over the 31 there in 2005. He won a little bit in 2006, 7, 8. But that was kind of the end of his career, really, being like winning and in the chase and doing well. But yeah, he always had weird like sponsorship things. Like I know he had Singular Wires, and Singular was bought like AT&T, and just like and he started his career in the 8 car too, the 8 Robestos car in 94 and 95. Before going to Roush in 96.
Anyway, here, let's, for shits and giggles, let's see. Was it Kevin Moore? You know what I want. Yes, this is what it is. Oh. Get out of here. Oh my gosh.
Unlucky 13.
Yeah. Close your eyes, people. Any kids? Grab your kids and listen. See, I remember this, but like I remember it being fairly obvious that he was there. Okay, he did run out there.
Yeah.
Oh, he got. All I'm gonna say is I'd have survived it. I'd have been fine. I probably would have jumped onto his car. I would have got up and ran him down. But that's just me personally. I can see. Man, he really smoked that kid.
Yeah.
Smoked that blood. Force trauma. Let's go. NASCAR needs Tony Stewart. It's like,
and you know he's coming back in the trucks. He's racing in the trucks this year in the Dodge.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah,
I wasn't even putting that.
We're coming back, and he's racing the Dodge that's coming back.
Oh shit! The Dodge. Maybe Kevin should
You're
have
gonna have to
dodged a
dodge
little
him
bit more to
now.
the
He's coming
right.
back.
Yeah, no dodging him now.
Yeah.
Truck series. Let's see what he specifically is. It some version of the Ram that they
Yeah.
make? Yeah. In the 25.
Death equals 25.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's on February 13th, so 2 days before the Daytona. Okay. Okay, so they do 2 days for the truck series, and then the day before will be the O'Reillys, and then Daytona 500 opening. I'm assuming. Dude, are we gonna end up having to follow the damn truck series early?
Yeah, what?
I think
Come
we'll at
on,
least
Smoke.
follow Tony Stewart. I think we'll
Yeah.
do that. Which is so funny. Dodge Ram. It's like he rammed him because he didn't dodge. It's just there's a joke there for sure.
Yeah, her name is Smoke, and you just killed someone with blunt force trauma. I mean, and now you're getting ready to
Bro, what was that? You feel that? Oh shit.
really have to dodge me now because I'm getting ready to ram.
Just a heads up, my lights are flickering. It's been so windy here, dude. So we're it's 201. So here at 201, I'm making the announcement. If the show goes dark without it ending, I apologize, but it has been like crazy wind with windstorms for this is like the third, fourth day in a row where it's just been insane wind. I've still gotten some work done outside. Like I was getting a good amount of wood chopping done and stuff like that. But because it had,
Yeah, it's so crazy. There's no wind here. It's not windy at all here.
bro.
But we're like about like 160 miles, 70 miles apart or whatever. But I told you I think it was last week. I think I told you before the show that we had some power outages. I think it was last week. We had like two of them. We had it was a week ago. I was last Saturday. I think I was like trying to eat, and then like the power flickered and the lights went out, and then they came back on. Like they were out and they went on. So and then just I didn't have any cell service, and then I was just trying to eat. I was trying to get my pizza out, and I was trying to eat it, and then there was it was good for like 30, 40 minutes, and then I ate. I thought everything was good, and then it happened again, but this time the power it didn't just flicker and go on and off. This time it just went out. It was out for like 30, 40 minutes. And I didn't have cell service again and stuff. And the power then came back on, my service came back and stuff. And there wasn't like any reason for it to even go out. It was just so weird. But yeah, that was like a week ago.
Saying it's averaging around 17, 18. That seems a little low. I wonder if I can look at previous days. It isn't like it's definitely not as bad today as it has been the last 2 days was like whistling wind for hours at a time. I'm talking like, we got trees surrounding the property, and we, told you I've already dealt with a few down trees. That's in my tree line though. That's not like near our property, but we do have a lot of trees around like around our actual house that so it does make this kind of like the intense wind pretty spooky. But I don't know if there's a way to look back at previous days. Kind of off the beaten path here, but just trying to prove my point. But now I'm realizing I don't know how to navigate any of this. Go forward into time, but how do I go backwards? Wouldn't we all like to go back?
Yeah, to the good old days.
Okay, apparently that button was just a fake button. You can click it, but it doesn't do anything. Okay. Maybe like reloaded ads or something. All right, well, take my word for it. I don't know. 17 seems... I'm sure those gusts of like 17, 18 are still like obviously noticeable. It's pretty windy, but it has been a lot windier the last 2-3 days. Just point being, we've been in like very windy for like almost a week. So yeah, we might have to be adding. Well, not might. We're definitely going to keep Tony Stewart on the radar.
Oh yeah. Especially remember he drove for Gibbs and won the 2 championships for Gibbs, and
Saw that in his little bio as I was poking at it.
in the Pontiac Grand Prix with Bobby Labonte.
It's just meeting Donald Rumsfeld. Yeah, I'm sure there was nothing going on back then. They weren't doing rituals back then. They're probably not even today. Just Donald Rumsfeld's there, the Secretary of Defense at a NASCAR. We got presidents, Secretary of Defense. Yeah, it's good to be friends with these guys. It makes sense. Well, a little bit underwhelming. We'll hope to reconnect with Sebastian. Sorry for the hype, only for it to not happen. Speaking of blunt force trauma, he's known to to spark the bong a little bit. So maybe he was pre-gaming, and I'll say it'll be half and half his blame for not being available or whatever, and half our blame for being just a little bit late getting through the early articles we were getting through. I should have sent it a little earlier, even if he had to chill in the back room for a minute. So we're both at fault here, but not that it's a problem. It's no biggie. Things happen. But yeah, sorry for the viewers and everything. We did plan on having a presenter, so we've just been kind of like winging it. Unfortunately, Austin had some great information to share early on that was more concise, but we've just been kind of rambling for the last 45 minutes or so. So that's our bad. But one thing's for sure is if you guys have any, first of all, I think we could have probably touched a little bit more on football, at least with predictions or recaps or whatever. But with that being pretty close, and then obviously we have in just a month the Daytona 500. But before that, like you said, the Super Bowl. If you guys want to talk predictions in the comments or hopping on with us, whatever. I know, like I said, that's this is kind of people like to talk their football. It's, I think, considered the most popular sport in America. Whoops. So makes sense. But yeah, if you guys have anything to contribute about NFL too, we could definitely have maybe a longer discussion next week about it. We'll have another week of slate of games to talk about, at least 2.
And we'll have our Super Bowl. We'll know the Super Bowl matchup. So we'll have the conference championship winners, and it'll be very interesting next week. Maybe Sebastian will join us again. Maybe or for the first time, maybe next week or whatever. But yeah, I'm sure he'll be on soon. And yeah, it'll be an interesting week to see how this all plays out. Both those games on Sunday. I know the AFC game is first and the NFC game is second. So it'll probably be finishing up by the time we start the podcast next week, or it's probably going to be the timing of it at least.
Or if Tom Brady's calling one of these games. He's already had the one glove ritual. There was another ritual they used for him with a specific voice line he had to deliver right at a specific moment in the I think he called the Bills game. Bills Broncos.
I'm thinking he would call the Patriots one, but I could be wrong.
If he's calling the AFC game, it makes sense he would call the AFC game. They would probably want his expertise on that. I think he has called a Seahawks game this year, though, once, I think. Might be wrong on that. That might be something worth checking.
Yeah, because he beat the Rams a couple times in the postseason when they were the St. Louis Rams, and then when they were the LA Rams in the Super Bowls.
Let's double check. Let's see. Tom Brady.
He's got a lot of history with all 4 teams. That's the very interesting thing. He's got a lot of history with these 4 teams.
Was it Telecasters? NFL next week. This is not the best way to type this on. Hopefully this is figured out. Okay. No, not. I get the cruise, but which ones, you dick shits? Well, Tom Brady is with Fox, so I would assume that the Fox is going to be covering the Seattle game. That's just generally how it works. So it very well could be a Tom Brady calling the Rams Seahawks. But it's the playoffs, so it's probably different. Okay, what conference? Telecasters. Yep. So you got former QBs on both sides. Bro, it was, I think, the Broncos game. I want to say maybe even 2 weeks ago. No, it might have been last week. Was I at work? It was the last. Either way, it was on. Like I said, they play it on at the restaurant super loud. And bro, Tony Romo is annoying to listen to. It's just, they built his character up. Are you familiar with how they built him up as a telecaster? Like he kept like making a bunch of predictions and they were all correct, like all the time. Like that's his. He's always sitting there saying they're going to run this play, and then they'll run that play. And I'm just like, they are throwing this shit right in your face. It's not because he's some great quarterback that he's saying this. It's because he's got the script right in front of him. You dipshits. God damn. But yeah, that's kind of Tony Romo's characters. He's always making predictions about what the play is going to be, and he's almost always right. But he's annoying to listen to. He does not have a good radio voice, like at all. It's so bad. Like it's just so like. Not that I care really. I'm not like into the aesthetics of the NFL. I'm just saying, like, I guess it's better than Chris Collinsworth maybe or Joe Buck. Joe Buck is so bad. It's actually funny though. Same for Chris Collinsworth even too. Because Chris Collinsworth and Joe Buck, as we've talked about, they're the ones that say the gayest shit all the time. They say so much. Like just this morning, I was working on the line, like I said, with that other girl at my work, and I was like, man, I don't know how much I can get away with it. So I was just snickering to myself. I wanted to like point out what he was saying because it was very like could be construed as sexual for sure. Well, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. It was the Patriots Texans game was on. I wish I remembered, but he definitely was just saying some gay shit. I'm just over here just laughing. Didn't want to.
Not the good old John Madden days where he's drawn all over the screen. Remember those?
Yeah, John Madden he's probably the goat of bullshit commentary. Interesting. So yeah, it stands to reason that the game. It depends. The Seahawks will. Do we already know the time?
The Seahawks play later.
Oh, then guaranteed.
The AFC game is first.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You said that already. Yeah. So yeah, of course. So yeah, Tony Romo, which is so interesting because you have like an NFC quarterback doing the AFC championship, and you have an AFC quarterback doing the NFC championship.
Brady did finish in NFC though with the Bucs, so
true.
That's so interesting. The only Seahawks games they lost this year was at home to the 49ers, and then at home to the Bucs, and then at the Rams.
Yep.
And they were all by just a few points too. Like they barely lost those games. Like they only lost by like a couple points. They're
really building Seattle as the most dominant team, other than the Patriots. Well, and they'll say the Patriots are dominant too. I don't even know exactly why. I'm pretty sure it's their defense. They haven't
lost all year away. They're undefeated away.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. That's their thing, is their away record. And that will be that's going to be a something's got to give game if it's
Yeah.
if that ends up being uh Patriots Seahawks. I mean, obviously one team is going to win, but it'll be the narrative wise at least. Well, anyway, I don't know anything specific to look up or talk about as far as these games, but this is interesting to check on who is going to call these games. I mean, are you still sound in your thinking? Okay, one real quick thing and then we can wrap this thing up. The one thing that there is with the Broncos that sure, unless there's something new, maybe they are allowed to bring up sign a player. I don't think so though. So they have their two backup quarterbacks. This is tiny print. Jarrett Stidham and Sam Ellinger. Now, gematria wise, the only thing I really noticed is I think it was Samuel. I'll have to double check unless I get it right. Georgia. Ellinger. Yeah, I got it right. Yeah, he does have the 206 in his name, like Seattle area code. So it'd be interesting if he got called up and they beat the Patriots. It'd be kind of like a pretty big narrative for one of these guys.
Or if the other guy got in and then he got hurt and then he had to step in.
That'd be funny. That would be very, very funny. But yeah, Jarrett Stidham. I looked both of them up. They're really nondescript. I can't. Let's see. Let's double check the schools. So these are not links. Oh, I can't spell it. Let's see. He went to Auburn. From Corbin, Kentucky. Okay, he was drafted by the Raiders. Okay, he transferred from Baylor, the Bears, to the Tigers. Interesting. Jarrett Ryan Stidham. By the way, just neither name. I'm kind of big on names. Like sometimes it's just like you do start to realize that names play a big factor into whether or not a person's going to be popular or not. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going on the backs of jerseys. That's one big major reason. But also just like vernacular wise, dorky ass names that aren't there's just something there. They're able to build up certain names, whereas they can't build up other names. Like I don't know if that's making much sense, but Jarrett Stidham. I don't see a lot of people saying like, "Bro, Jarrett Stidham." Like, I don't know. Sure, it could just mean nothing too, but I don't see the potential there. But at the same time, he is second on the depth chart. So technically speaking, he should be starting, but that is their full names. Let's see, without the middies there. You got,
or maybe if they win, maybe he'll play this game and the other guy will play. If they make it to the Super Bowl, they'll play the Seahawks.
And maybe they'll both play. Yeah. They do stuff like that too.
Yeah.
And this guy goes by Sam Ellinger, but we'll check out. So the 111, 62, obviously the 60th.
Yeah.
Actually, that's Sam Ellinger being 60. That could be another tell there. along with the 206 in his full name. Uh, 68's like, isn't that like Seattle? Yeah, Seattle, Washington, 68.
Yep.
Okay, let's just double check this guy, and then we'll leave the research to you guys. Some more research, I should say. I'll do more research too. But let's see, Samuel George Ellinger. University of Texas at Austin. So like some, okay. So he went to Texas. Huh? He's played on the two. Yeah. Okay. So he played on the 2 horse teams. Okay. You got a guy who's played on 2 horse teams, has the name, full name equals the Seattle area code, as well as a shortened name that equals Seattle, Washington. It'd be crazy for that to be what it's to where it's like they're gonna elevate this guy, which pretty much, if you know that, then you already know that the Pats are losing because he needs to play the Seahawks, which means you also know the Seahawks are winning. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that this is for sure. None of these things are like, whoa, I'm putting the house on it. But it is interesting.
Yeah.
And if I were to pick a name, I would say Ellinger. But I do tend to focus on names and things like that, especially etymology. God forbid these guys have interesting etymology. Jarrett.
Like Dale Jarrett.
Yep. Spear, strong spear. Brave with the spear. Okay, bro. Well, what does Samuel name mean? You would know that. God. Name of God. Let's see. Spear or God? Damn. I should have known that. Duh. L. I'm well aware of that. L is God and things of that nature.
It's like Samuel Adams.
Just God and Adam. That's hilarious. And then it's just beer. It's just like fuck. Okay. So the guy named God. Okay. Well, just some things. I don't know if other people have talked about who the backup's going to be yet. Actually, that one last thing, and then we'll be signing off here. Backup name or starter named for Broncos. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, it is. Never mind. All that shit, and then Jared Stidham's getting the job. Fuck. Well, we'll see. Because, like, if Jared Stidham comes in and throws a pick, I think he's gone, right?
Yeah. Or gets injured.
Yep, very true. He threw 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in 2 games. Nah, you got to get my boy God in there.
Yeah.
Put God in, bro.
God equals 26. It's your turn, pal. It's my time.
They literally have God on their side.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I don't know. We're kind of like the narrative guys. I feel like that's a good point. That's a good point. I'm kind of invested in next game now, in the Broncos game now. I'll be paying attention to it more than usual. We'll see. That'd be so good if Mr. Stiddy doesn't make it the whole game. Well, we'll see how it goes. And what's interesting too is none of that's good for Bo Nix, because I guess you could still say Bo Nix got him there, but say they do go on and win, it's almost just like, oh, so it was mainly like the offensive players and the offensive line and the defensive line and the defense that were this year. Kind of exposed.
Because now no matter what, he's not going to win he's not going to be a AFC champion, and he's not going to be a Super Bowl champion, but
he's not going to be the winning quarterback. Nope. He might get a ring, but he won't be the winning quarterback.
Yeah. Wasn't involved in either of the championship games, the conference or the Super Bowl, so
he got nixed.
Yeah.
All right. Enough. All right, guys. Well, as usual, feel free to hit us up in any way you deem fashionable to either join the stream or just in correspondence with us, whether it's in the comments or through our email. And let us know you guys' predictions or information you have about your, educated guesses, or if you will, or, using the knowledge, what you've seen. And we'll take that into consideration moving forward. Maybe we can have like a little shout out section next stream if we get enough activity on that front. We can read comments or something like that. But without saying going too far, hopefully we are able to correspond with Spam Wave Sebastian and get that done next week. Guys, I'll let you close us out, and then we'll be on our way.
Yeah, it was still a great stream tonight, regardless of him, not coming in. But it was still good stuff. There's been a lot of NASCAR stuff the last few weeks too, and like last episode was great with the Illegal Smile, getting him on and going over that stuff and making those connections. And tonight we just keep adding to it. And obviously, like if he would have came on, there would have been a lot more other stuff we would have talked about tonight as well. I just kind of had a little bit to add in myself, not even gematria wise, just other ways of adding stuff and looking at stuff and things we'll continuously be looking at and talking about, because we're obviously everything we've been saying is literally coming full circle. It's all the ritual is all building around everything we've been talking about. It just keeps building by the day, by the week, by the month. We'll keep adding to it each week and stuff with whatever, and we'll see what next week brings, if he comes on, if we have him on, or whatever ends up happening. Obviously we'll go over the conference championship games and look at who's going to be in the Super Bowl and stuff. So next episode should be good stuff. And we'll see what happens too, just like throughout the week and stuff. Like I said, it's been nice, but I know the rain's supposed to kick in too, before the game gets here. So that'll be a nice sunny, clear game or colder game, and the rain's coming back. So it'll actually make things warmer at night and stuff with the way Washington is. So be a rainy game in Seattle for that one. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But it's going to be an interesting week, and we'll see, like I said, next week. Hopefully we get Sebastian on, and we'll just keep plugging away. 70 to 71.
Yes, sir. All right, everybody. Hope you guys have a good week, and I look forward to hearing from you, and we'll catch you next week, guys. Later.
Peace.